Ever get that like totally weird feeling like you're being watched? I swear I was just talking about this like super niche brand of like, I don't know, vegan cheese puffs with my roommate, and bam, next time I'm online, ads for the exact same cheese puffs are like stalking me.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's like our phones are listening in and selling those little snippets of our lives to the highest bidder.
Right. It's like, okay, so my data is valuable, but shouldn't I be the one who gets to cash in on that?
I know, right? And that's actually a really interesting question and kind of what today's deep dive is all about. We're looking at this paper, Time for Bootstrapping Data Ownership Rights, DOR, a car insurance case study. It gets into like the nitty-gritty of who actually owns your data.
Okay, bootstrapping data ownership, that sounds kind of intense.
It is. It's like a total power shift. So
Right.
think about car insurance, right? The way it works now is companies look at your age, where you live, your driving record, all that, and that's how they decide how much to charge you.
Yeah, it makes sense. The riskier you look on paper, the more you pay. But hold on, what about people with like zero driving history, like brand new drivers?
Exactly. And that's a huge issue. This paper talks about how even just within car insurance, the whole data game has gotten so much more complicated. Like we used to just have no claims discounts, right? But now there's telematics, those black boxes that track your every move on the road.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So more data, but does that always mean like a fairer deal for the driver? I'm not so sure.
Right, right. And that's what makes this idea of bootstrapping data ownership so intriguing. It's about giving you, the individual, way more control over how that data gets used.
Okay, so instead of just being like data points for these companies to analyze, we'd have some actual say in the matter. I'm interested. Tell me more.
So this paper actually dives into a really fascinating case study about a company called Visual DNA. They partnered with Admiral, a big car insurance company in the UK, to try and change the game for young drivers.
Visual DNA, that name rings a bell. Weren't they the ones who tried to like predict your personality based on your Facebook likes or something?
Yes, that was them. And it's actually super relevant because what they wanted to do with car insurance was, well, kind of similar.
Wait, hold on. So they were going to use Facebook data to like figure out car insurance rates? I can't imagine that went over well with, well, anyone.
Yeah, it was definitely a bold move. So basically, Visual DNA wanted to take all that Facebook activity, posts, likes, shares, the whole shebang, and use it to create these risk profiles.
Okay, but how do you even begin to connect? Like how often someone posts cat memes to how well they handle a car? Seems like a stretch.
Right. So their whole thing was finding these correlations. And get this, the paper says Visual DNA was super careful about getting consent. Like, people had to specifically agree to let them use their Facebook data for this. They even looked at whether someone used lists in their posts, like bullet points versus a ton of exclamation points.
No way. They were analyzing punctuation. That's both kind of brilliant and a little creepy, don't you think?
Totally. But hey, it's all about data, right? But here's the kicker. This whole thing, it never even launched.
Seriously?
Right.
Why not? It seems like a win-win, at least on the surface. Facebook gets to show off its data powers, young drivers maybe get cheaper insurance. So what happened?
Well, according to this paper, right as they were about to go live, Facebook pulled the plug. They totally shut it down.
Whoa, really? Why would they do that?
Basically, Facebook realized they were giving away too much, It wasn't just about this one car insurance thing. It was setting a precedent. If they let Visual DNA use all that social media data to assess risk, who knows what other companies would come knocking.
So it was like a power move. They realized they were sitting on a gold mine of data and didn't want to share.
Exactly. And that brings us right back to this whole bootstrapping idea. This paper is saying the current system where these big companies control all our data, it's got to change. We need more control over our own digital lives.
Okay, I'm with you, but how do we actually do that? What are the alternatives? How do we get to this bootstrapped world where users have the power?
Well, imagine this. A digital wallet for your data. It's like a secure vault where you store all your info, from your driving to your online shopping habits, and you get to decide who gets access and what for.
Okay, so instead of Facebook or whoever just taking my data because I clicked agree, without reading those novels they call terms and conditions, I could be like, hey, I'll give you this specific data, but only if you give me that discount.
Exactly. You're basically turning your data into a bargaining chip. And check this out. The paper mentions that the former CEO of Visual DNA, Yossi Borenstein, he's actually working on this with his new company, 10Me. They're all about giving users control, especially when it comes to things like, you guessed it, financial products.
Wow. So this isn't just some futuristic fantasy. People are actually building this stuff. But let's be real. How realistic is this digital wallet thing? Is the technology even there yet?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's definitely still early days. But the paper talks about some really cool possibilities. Like, you heard of blockchain, right?
Yeah, vaguely. Isn't that like the cryptocurrency thing?
Kind of, but it's way bigger than that. Blockchain is all about security and transparency, and some people think it could be the key to creating these super secure, tamper-proof digital wallets.
Blockchain for my data wallet. Okay, that sounds pretty hardcore, but also maybe what we need to like shake things up.
Right. It's all about finding the right tech to make this work. But even with all this, even if we nail the tech stuff, there's still a bigger picture here, you know? It's not just about having this digital wallet, it's about what we do with it.
Okay, so it's not enough to just have the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
We gotta like learn how to rule it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This paper talks about how we need new rules, new regulations to make sure this whole data ownership thing is fair. Because let's be real, if only the tech-savvy people figure this out, it's not really a win for everyone, right?
Totally. So it's like we need a whole new system where data ownership isn't just about like getting a cheaper insurance quote, but about making sure everyone has a fair shot.
Exactly. And not just fairness, but transparency too. Like,
Yeah.
if my data is being used to train some super smart AI, shouldn't I at least know about it? Maybe even have a say in how it's used.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's my data after all.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we even begin? This all sounds amazing, but also kind of overwhelming. What's like the first step?
Honestly. Just being aware of it is huge. Like, we're having this conversation, right?
Right.
The more we talk about it, the more people realize that their data has value and that they deserve more control.
So it starts with awareness, then demanding better from these companies, pushing for stronger privacy laws.
Exactly. And don't forget, being open to new ideas, new technologies, like this whole digital wallet thing. It might sound crazy now, but who knows? 5, 10 years from now, it could be totally normal.
It's true. Things change so fast these days. I mean, a few years ago, nobody even knew what a blockchain was. Now it's like the future of data privacy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a wild ride.
It really is. Well, I don't know about you, but my brain is officially full. We've gone from car insurance to like the entire future of the internet in like an hour.
That's what we do here. We deep dive.
That's right. But for real, if there's one thing I want listeners to take away from this whole conversation is that your data has power.
Yeah.
And whether you realize it or not, you're already part of this whole data revolution. So buckle up because it's only going to get more interesting from here.
Absolutely. And maybe think twice before you click accept all cookies next time.
Words to live by. All right, that's a wrap on this deep dive. We'll be back next week with a whole new topic to explore. Until then, stay curious.